Welcome to the LibreOffice tips and tricks. Today, I would like to show you how to make a short business plan with a new biotechnology factory, how we design with the engineers and technicians. The data we know is presented here. We know their salary. The budget is available to pay the salary for these people. We have requirements based on the technology. One engineer needs at least 3, but maximum 8 technicians to work together. And we also know how much profit they produce. The engineer produces 5 times of the salary, and technicians produces 3 times of the salary. So based on these data, we would like to know how many engineer and technician we need to get the maximum profit of our biotechnology factory or the highest number of employee. So in the calculation, we will have engineers and technician. The number of the persons will be initially 1. I will mark this as a green cell because we would like to adjust these, and the total number will be the sum of these two. Later we will use these data in calculation, so I use names, apply names to get it easier. Engineer, I will call the number of engineers, and technician will be the number of the technicians. I always prefer using names instead of fixed cell references, because when you see the dollar signs and the cell names, you always have to track back what is the meaning of it. This way we can make it very simple and easy to understand. Let's say how it works, for example, on salary. The salary, we know that engineer will have 5,000 euro per month. It is a good salary. At least I like it. Now we will say it is euro. Oh no, I pressed E. And now I like that euro, for example. So that euro will be how we calculate. And 2,500 euro will be the technician salary. Now comes the trick how to calculate the total salary we pay. We have engineers. You can see that as I start typing the name, the registered cell reference is already offered to me, and then I multiply the number of engineers with their salary plus the number of technicians, it was already suggested to me, multiplied with their salary. Okay, and the available salary budget we have here also as 200,000, and it will be euro as well, and this will be also euro. It should be euro, that's euro, sorry. I'm living in Hungary, so it is automatically offering me Hungarian forint, but now we calculate in euro. Here again you can see how the calculation is working. Number of engineers multiplied by the salary plus number of technicians multiplied by the salary is the total payment we do each month. Okay, what else we know? We know, if we stay in the field of money, that how much profit they make. So the profit will be for engineers 5 times of the salary. For technicians, it will be 3 times of the salary. And now you can see what is the advantage of our calculation. I just copy this equation here, and now we have the result. The number of engineers multiplied by their profit, the number of technicians multiplied by their profit. So we know how much profit they produce if we have only one engineer and technician together. But now you can see that we have two conditions. How the technology is working. So one engineer needs at least 3 technicians. To be able to understand how is it working, I will insert one formula, object and formula. to see how we can compose this condition into the spreadsheet. So the engineers or technicians, if we calculate it, 1/3, if we have exactly the ratio of 1 engineer and 3 technicians, if we divide their numbers, the number of persons will be 1/3. But we need at least 3. It means that the number of technicians can be higher. So the ratio will be lower than 1/3. And if we reorganize this equation a little bit simple way, that we have 3 engineers are lower or equal than 1 technician, and if we put everything on one side, 3 engineers minus 1 technician is lower than equal than 0. Okay, so now you can see this is the equation describing what we are going to do. So at least 3 technicians. I just shortened the technician as T. You can see the condition will be 3 minus 1. And if we apply the calculation like above, but it will not be, of course, money, just number ratio about the number of the persons. If 1 engineer has 3 technicians, you can see that the result of this calculation will be 0. That's fine for us. Yes, indeed, we expect that one. And what happens if we increase the number of the technicians? Indeed, it will be less than 0. So in this requirement, we expect that the calculation based on the number of technicians and engineers will be lower or equal than 0. What about the maximum 8 technicians? I will do the same. I will type the 8 and 1 and I change the sign of one of the values, 8 minus 1. Do the same calculation, and if I enter 1 and 8 here to the number of persons, you can see that the calculation result is 0. If I enter more technicians, the calculation result will be negative, which is not good for us. If I enter a value which is satisfied this requirement, this condition, then the value is above 0. So right now in this we have the expectation that the calculation result will be higher or equal to 0. So this will start with the values of 1, 1. And in the first question, we will focus on the profit. So I will mark the profit with this red background. And the calculation will be done automatically by the solver. So we don't have to modify manually all the number of the persons to figure out what can be the best solution. We can do it with the solver. The target cell we have to choose is the profit. We want to have the maximum profit, so I want to optimize to reach the maximum. It is set up, okay. And what I can modify to obtain this goal? I can modify the number of people I want to employ in this factory. So these are the 3 basic things always have to adjust in the solver. The target cell, it always must be a formula, one equation result. We want to adjust it to the maximum value. We want to best profit. And by changing cells, we can modify the number of engineer and technician. We have some limiting conditions, of course, limitations. You can see that we have some salary we pay. It cannot be higher than the budget we have. And regarding the at least 3 maximum 8 technicians, we already composed that the calculated result in first case cannot be higher than 0, lower or equal than 0. And the next one, the maximum 8 technician, it is equal or higher than 0. Okay, we set up the solver right now. In the options, we can choose what kind of algorithm we use to solve it. This will be the linear solver, because here we only use multiplication and addition no power function, no exponential function, no trigonometric function. So only simple linear relationship is between the numbers. So the linear solver can be used. Here we can consider assuming only integer values. Of course, we can only have one person working at the factory, but we can apply them as a part-time job as well. So we are not really necessary to use only integer results, but the non-negative value should be clicked on, because -1 engineer or -1 technician, of course, we cannot employ. And now we can solve and keep the result. Here you can see what profit we can produce here with this result. I will copy this down, pay special, and the profit with this number of people we will have, and it will be no, not Hungarian forint, we need euro. Oh, again, Netherlands, that's euro. Okay, so now we can see how much profit we can reach. This is the maximum profit we can obtain with 16 engineer, 48 technician, and you can see that all of them, of course, satisfy the requirements, the criterion, and we can get this nice high profit. But what about the second question? With the same setup, with the same calculation, we can also get a different goal. The first goal was the profit, and the second will be the persons. What if we would like to reach the highest number of employee? Then we have a secondary goal, and with the solver, we can modify the solution, the search, with only the target cell. Everything else is the same. The target cell will be the total number of persons. And here you can see that the maximum we are reaching we are going to reach by changing the number of engineers and technicians, and all of the rest is the same. Everything is the same. The only difference is the target cell. From profit we change to the total number of persons. And when we solve it, keep the result, you can see a different solution. I copy it down to be able to compare, and this as well, it will be euro. Okay, now you can see that what is the difference if we are optimizing our business plan to the profit or the number of people we want to work together. So if we compare the two solutions, you can see that in the second case, when we are focusing on the number of the people, 8 more people we can employ in the factory, but we are losing 80,000 euro profit per month. So this is the difference between the solutions, and you can see that all these two goals can be evaluated from the same calculations, same conditions can apply. The only difference is only in the target cell. And we used the linear solver. This is how the linear programming is working in LibreOffice. Thank you for your attention.